Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. It's called We're Gonna Be in So Much Trouble. And as it starts, the kids' parents gather in the woods to enact their plan to send a signal out beyond the barrier, and they totally get caught. So they run to try to avoid being apprehended, and they have to keep passing off their illegal communication device from one parent to the next as parent after parent gets caught by stun gun, including Neil's dad. Fern's mother ends up being the only one still conscious, and she manages to set the device off, causing it to climb into the sky, go past the barrier, and send out its signal. Meanwhile, the kids are chilling out on the ship in hyperspace, anticipating arriving home soon, but Wim seems to be in a bit of a snit. He regrets pushing the button because now, once he gets back, everything's just going to go back to the way it was. He's still going to have to take his assessment, and life's just going to generally stink. But Neil and Fern try to make him feel better by pointing out that, it's great that he pushed the button because they had a great adventure and everything is going to be fine anyway in the end. While that's happening, the pirates arrive at where At-Aten is supposed to be, but find what looks like a toxic storm surrounding a planet. But JUDE insists that what they're seeing is just camouflage. The pirate captain sends a volunteer out in a fighter to go through what looks like the toxic storm, and in short order, his ship is destroyed by the storm. JUDE then tries to convince the crew that it's just a defense grid, as the crew shoves him in an airlock to jettison him into space just as the kids' ship arrives. So JUDE surmises that they need to be aboard the kids' ship in order to get through the storm, which makes sense seeing as that's where the ship was previously. So they draw it in with a tractor beam. As the pirate captain tries to board the ship, the kids manage to grab him with a grappling claw and demand that the tractor beam be released using a disguiser for their voice. JUDE blasts the dog captain guy in the head while he's still caught in the grappler, before assuming the captaincy of the pirate frigate, at which point he orders the crew to go storm the ship and grab the kids. We then learn that JUDE was the original pirate captain that we saw in the premiere when he boards the ship in his helmet and jacket. He sees that a message is coming in and he plays it. And it's the parents addressing the kids, telling them not to give up and that they're not in trouble, as well as that a Republic emissary can tell them how to get home and how to get through the barrier. The kids then decide that they need to retake the ship, and while Fern wants to come up with a plan, Wim attacks outright, at which point JUDE grabs him and claims the ship, giving up claim to the pirate frigate, according to the pirate code, causing Fern to haphazardly challenge his claim and order M33 to take back the ship, which for some reason he does, at which point they pilot the ship through the barrier, narrowly avoiding destruction, as it would seem that the ship is from At-Aten and thereby can pass the barrier. Once through, the ship is put into automatic landing cycle. JUDE enters the bridge, and when he's faced with 33 on the attack, he cuts his head off with the lightsaber. When he tries to contact the frigate and operate the ship, the kids try to tell him that he can't do either, and he yells at them, because he says he's tired of hearing them talk and talk and talk. And when Fern seems like she's going to try to say something more, he tells them all to shut up again, and threatens to carve them all up with the lightsaber if they don't do exactly what he tells them. The ship then lands, and JUDE and the kids disembark as JUDE pretends to be a Republic emissary and is thereby directed by the droids to go directly to the Mint per protocol, at which point the ground opens up and the ship begins to descend underground. When everyone arrives at the vault level, JUDE is told that there are over 1,100 vaults, just like the one they're in, which is stacked from floor to ceiling with Republic credits. Meanwhile, the kids were taken back to the ship by droids, where they are soon met by their parents who descend on a skiff, and they all reunite with each other. But JUDE then approaches the group and ignites his lightsaber. And that's where the episode ended. So I'm continuing to like the show, and I really particularly liked this episode. I thought that it was very tense and that it flowed well and that every beat made sense. And it was just a very well-crafted episode. Once again, I thought the kids did a really good job. I thought it was funny that Wim just attacked and didn't want to wait for Fern to come up with a plan. I thought it was great seeing the parents reunited with the kids. I thought it was great that the kids, tried to reassure each other that everything was going to be okay, both before and after they got the message from their parents. Once again, we saw that JUDE is, in fact, a cold-blooded murderer, which is going to make it really hard for him to do a hero turn, as I suggested he might do in the end. And I still think that's possible that the writers will do that, but it'll be harder to believe that it's something he would do now if they do it, because he's now twice pretty much murdered people. He murdered the captain, no question about it, and he definitely killed the other pirates in the acid bath, but you could argue they were going to come in and do him and the kids harm. But like, yeah, it's going to be hard for them to make him into a hero in the end. So I'm thinking that that's less likely than I thought it was before. So they've got quite a bit to wrap up in the final episode. We don't know JUDE's history, whether he was or wasn't a Jedi, and if he wasn't, how is it that he can use the Force? And if he was, why is he no longer? We don't know why these so-called treasure planets were set aside and hidden. And we've got to see in the course of one like 40-minute episode how the citizens of At-Aten are going to get out of this situation they're in with JUDE basically holding the kids and their parents at saber point and potentially having the frigate that he can bring down on them. So hopefully they can wrap that all up. If not, we have to hope there's a second season, which I don't know how likely that is in this climate where, you know, if a show doesn't blow people away and do really, really well, they don't renew it. But yeah, I mean, I think this show is much better than The Acolyte, much better than Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think they're doing a really good job with it. And I'm really looking forward to the finale next week. But that's all there is to say at this point, so I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, may the Force be with you.